Hello, welcome to the channel. Linus is the name, and we are still talking about how to make money selling internet. Now, like any business, the key thing when you're starting out is your location. Location. So before we get into all the nitty-gritties about how to make money selling internet, let's talk about locations. All right, now I know many of you out there like, hey, this is something irrelevant, but it is to a point of view for someone who wants to start their business, someone who's not really well versed with the entire thing, then this actually does make sense for them as a video. Now, location in any business, your location you choose determines a lot on how your business thrives, determines a lot on how you make that money. Same thing with here, making money selling internet. Now, we are going to break down location into three categories. Category number one is going to be business areas. Category number two is going to be home areas, and category number three is going to be school areas. Now, each of them comes with its own advantages and disadvantages, so let's just dive into that. Now, you can set up your wireless network in any of these above places, even more places that I've not necessarily mentioned, for example, bars and stuff like that, marinas and things like that. But the principles we're going to discuss here cut across all of them. Now, let's start with public places. Now, public places in this particular case, you have things like shopping malls, shopping arcades, what I just mentioned earlier, places like bars. These are all places you can set up your nice wireless hotspot service, sell some tokens and make some money. Now, the advantage of this is, one, you do have traffic, because that's the main thing in any of these businesses. You need a place with a lot of traffic. The fewer the people you have, the less money you make. If you're in a place that has too many people, the better. Now, I personally like having my hotspot service or my wireless service set up in these busy areas because of a couple of reasons. Number one is you will notice that in this particular place, like now let's say shopping arcade, most of the shop attendants there, as they wait for customers to come through, are actually very idle. They are just, sitting there on their phones, most of them scrolling through TikTok. And some of them are basically running off bundles. So when you introduce Wi-Fi to them, you have high chances of making money. And also, they're not going to be doing lots of heavy stuff like gaming. Not expect someone in his shop to be running a gaming rig, which will be needing lots of data. Sometimes, okay, they might watch a movie or two, but that is no problem, especially if they are streaming it and not downloading. And also, why I like having the setup put in a public place is with these most times, 9 out of 10 times, they are just video streaming. So be it YouTube, TikTok, a movie, Netflix, stuff like that. Most times they're not going to be downloading heavy files like 100 GB games and stuff like that, which also gives your network some time to breathe, but also allows you to use little bandwidth to support very many clients. Why I keep emphasizing the whole thing about bandwidth is what determines how your entire network runs, if it has a good service or a bad service. So the whole thing is, even you, when you get on an internet service, let's say connect your phone to an internet service and it is slow, immediately you're going to click off. And with this business, a customer lost is not a returning customer. That means you start diminishing in terms of your returning customers, and yet you really need those returning customers. We'll be discussing and calculating all that in terms of monies and all that, nitty-gritties, especially about how many people you need to break even and stuff like that. Now, number three is schools. Yeah, we talked about schools. Now, some schools, especially universities and some secondary schools, like for here in Uganda, some do have hostels. Now, you can have your setup created in their hostel areas where you have your Wi-Fi network pushing to them internet. Now, this is more common with university students because they also tend to have lots of phones, lots of computers, laptops, and all the above. So if you can target the hostels and have your setup running over there, you provide them with internet, because I know many of them rely on the university internet, which, if I don't know which country you're watching this in Uganda here, most of our universities, the internet services are very scanty, on, off. So if you have your network set up at their halls of residence, at their hostels, that gives you advantage in that they will always have a network to connect to do their coursework and so on and so forth. Only downside of setting up in hostels is these university students download a lot of stuff. They're downloading movies. Instead of streaming them, they're downloading crazy movies. They're downloading series. They're downloading games for their laptops. So when you're setting up in a hostel area, just know your bandwidth that you're pushing has got to be really high, because most times your network is going to be maxed out. Those guys consume data. Now I think now you're beginning to realize the difference in here. This side we talked about people that are many but don't really use that much internet. Okay, there might be a few heavy users, but that is not the main kind of lookout. That is in terms of arcades and bars and all of that. On the school side of things, in hostels, these are idle young people. They have a lot of free time to themselves. So most of them are going to be downloading heavy games. You'll find someone's downloading GTA 5, which is 100 gigabytes, stuff like that. So you end up with a strained network, because the people that are on, you find they have 3 people on and they have maxed out your entire bandwidth because they're downloading heavy stuff. So those are some of the things you have got to consider when you are setting up, especially in terms of location. Where should you put your service, depending on what kind of idea, what kind of reach you're looking for. Now, the other factor that gets affected by your location is your pricing, because depending on where you are, your pricing will definitely get affected positively or negatively. Now, for instance, if you set up in arcades, shopping centers, shopping malls and stuff like that, then your pricing can be a good average. Like, it can't be too high and not really too low. It's got to strike the balance between the two, because your clientele is different. When you set up in a bar, high chances these people have their cash to spend, so you can push it a little bit higher. When you set up for students, most of these do not have money. They are juggling life, they're learning how to budget, so most of the times they are broke. That means your costs have got to be really low. When you set up in homes, I didn't mention this earlier, but you can set up in homes in terms like, now if you stay in an estate, actually these are the easiest setups you can have. If you are staying in an estate, in a flat community, you can definitely set up your Wi-Fi and share your internet connection across everybody and earn some really good money, because not everybody is willing to spend on high internet rates. So once you set up there, you get to share, you share some tokens, you get to earn your money. Now if you set up in a home area, home areas, most times the people have their money, yes, but you also get to look at it in that home areas, most times the people who really need the internet are coming and going. They'll go to work in the morning and they'll be back in the evening. So those are the times when you actually do need, which is also an advantage in that most times when the heavy users are back home, you're on off-peak hours with the service provider, which means you still get good service. So home areas, you can put your billing also at a good relative level. Now, I am taking this series as slow as possible. I'm trying to tackle all the nitty-gritties, all the particular levels, and hopefully covering all the questions that you may have. Now, today we have covered location. Very important when you're setting up your hotspot. Go around, look around, analyze. The other thing, as you're thinking about your location, is competition. How many other Wi-Fi networks are in that place? When you're in a place where you are alone, even better. If you're in a rural area and you are alone, even better. If you're in an urban area, definitely within these malls and arcades and what in the city centers, there will be other, people, are selling Wi-Fi. So you've got to analyze, one, what is, you've got to look for their weak points. Yes, one, analyze their weak points. First of all, look at what is their range, how far does their network go. Take time, buy a token and see how fast is their internet. Try to research around, ask people around, which network are you connected to. Just try to analyze how many people roughly do they connect in a day. Look at their pricing, especially, because in any place where there's competition, the only way you can phase them out, or the only way to come and compete favorably, you either match their price or make yours slightly lower. So you have got to analyze and look through that competition on the place where you want to put up your wireless network. Now, depending on where you decide to put your network, it's not necessarily bad that you be many in the places, because you can offer something different. You can offer a value-added services. We'll be talking about value-added services later on in this video. Other things you can put on your network that are not necessarily internet, but will still earn you money. There is a lot you can do. For example, I can just tell you, you can do advertising, you can put file servers, there's a lot you can put on your network that's not necessarily dependent on the internet, but still earn some money. That is a topic for another day. So as you analyze your location, it is very, very important for you to understand your clientele, very important for you to understand the pricing range for that area, the lifestyle for that area, and that will also determine your pricing range. It's important for you to understand your competition, because those are the people who will either make or break your business, and also see if you're the only one in that area. Now, my advice to you is, as you're doing research for where to put up your service, look for a place with few or no service providers providing a service similar to the one you want to provide. The fewer, the better. If there's none and you're the only one there, good. 2, look for a place that you're going to have your main service provider provide to you internet. Your best setup point. Make sure that you have a service provider that's going to be providing you with the internet you're going to resell. So be it via fiber, or be it via a wireless connection, maybe for example microwave or something like that. Just make sure that that place, your base station, can have access to the main provider giving you internet. 3, analyze your users. Make sure you have enough bandwidth to match your users. Like I said earlier, if you're dealing with students, just know you need insane amounts of bandwidth, because those guys are always downloading crazy stuff, jamming up your network, yet giving you very, very little money. Number 4, the pricing range. As you're talking about pricing, we'll be discussing that a lot later, especially in terms of our Ugandan market. If you're watching me from wherever, Nigeria, Benin, or wherever it is you're watching me, analyze your market, see what pricing are the others that are doing it, are putting it at. Spend some money, connect to their network, analyze their network, look at it, how fast is it, how do they all these things, and then at the end of the day, it will help you make your decision in terms of how to move forward. Now, that is in terms of location. Very important. If you don't get your location right, high chances your business will fail. So it's very, very important. That's why I even started with it. Before we get into all the nitty-gritties that I know you're waiting for, location. Analyze your location, look through it, and before you commit to it, make sure you are very, very sure that your investment will make returns to you in terms of where you put it. Now, in case you have any comments on this particular video, any suggestions, anything that you think I've missed out in terms of finding your correct location for your service, do drop me a comment in the comment section, or you can drop me an email at techselectug@gmail.com. That is techselectug@gmail.com. Do drop me that email, and I'll definitely be getting back to you. And also, you can drop me a DM or just a comment on any of my posts on Twitter/X, and I shall definitely be getting back to you. Now, our series is still continuing. Today we've talked about location. In the next video, let's talk about how do you choose your service provider. What should you look out for when choosing your service provider that's going to provide you internet that you're going to resell? I look forward to that video. Thanks so much for watching this one. I shall see you in the next one. Bye-bye.